All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Allie Bonner, VP of Client Success at Paradox. We are an HR and talent recruiting software company who really specializes in conversational AI. We have been working with many hospitality companies and doing some really cool and innovative things. And I am both honored and humbled to be here with Sara Piper today, Executive Director of People and TA at none other than the Fontainebleau, Las Vegas. Thank you, Sara, so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, Sara, thank you for making the long commute down the hallway to be here with us all
Absolutely.
today. We really
Yes.
appreciate it.
We have a fan club.
I love
Thank
it.
you
I
to
love
the
it.
fan
Thank you
club.
to the fan
Thank
club.
you. Thank you.
So I've been working with Sara now for quite some time, and something I found so interesting about the process of us working together was that the Fontainebleau in Miami had such a strong brand, but you all made the decision here at the Fontainebleau Las Vegas to really build everything from the ground up. So can you talk a little bit about the decision behind that and how that really helped shape your hiring strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were very lucky in that Fontainebleau Miami had a very rich legacy and a very strong brand standard. The question that we had is this right for the Las Vegas market in terms of our hiring strategy? We knew the brand could sell itself because of its reputation. We knew that we had a very strong candidate pool of people that could work here with strong skill sets. But the big question was, do they meet our culture? Do they meet our culture standards? And again, we wanted to make sure that we were really living that elevated luxury life. So we looked internally and we decided to first build out our internal culture. We created our 4 culture values: innovate, cultivate, collaborate, and celebrate. And in the spirit of innovation, we partnered with Paradox. And what Paradox did was they provided us with this beautiful ATS system that came with some of you might know it as a chatbot. We call him Morris. So welcome Morris to the stage, everybody.
All right, Sara, you're going to have to tell everybody a little bit more about Morris.
I absolutely will. So let me first start by telling you that Morris is named after Morris Lapidus. Some of you in the room might know who Morris Lapidus is. He was the architect for Fontainebleau Miami, which already had its 70 years of rich brand legacy. And so we really wanted to pay homage to him. And what we did was we started, obviously, as you can tell, Morris is not a real human, although many people think that he is. We started by identifying who is Morris. And you would be surprised at some of the questions that we had asked ourselves. What does Morris drink? What is his favorite drink? What is his favorite sports team? Where did he go to college? Who is he and why is he here? And that's how we transitioned Morris Lapidus, our architect of Fontainebleau Miami, to Morris, our member experience architect.
And you use AI to even create the way he looked and everything,
right?
right?
We did. We have some people in the room that helped us create Morris. We created everything from his hair to his shoes, including his glasses, which have beautiful little bow ties on either side. Thank you, Andy and team, for the help.
Love it. Well, something a few people here know about me is I'm a big fan of Las Vegas, and I actually have spent a lot of time at the Fontainebleau Las Vegas. And every time I'm here, I think about how crazy it is that Morris interacted and helped hire every member here at the Fontainebleau Las Vegas, from blackjack dealers to servers. So, can you talk a little bit about how that helped? When you thought about the diverse roles that you needed to hire for here at the Fontainebleau.
Yeah, absolutely. Going into this, my lovely leader, Kim, over here, and I sat down and we said, you know what? We expect 80,000 applications. That's what we expected as we started. And in and of itself, 80,000 applications, as you can imagine, is a lot of applications. So I can imagine you probably feel overwhelmed with that number, 80,000. Well, we ended up with 300,000 applications, 300,000 in total just to open this building and get it started. So as you can imagine, a team of people to comb through 300,000 applications, which at the time we only thought would be 80,000. We would have to have hundreds. We would have to have hundreds of people. And that's just not something that we can sustain. So by using Morris, He helped us keep our workflow completely seamless from a candidate journey perspective. So while we were all at home in our beds sleeping, Morris was interacting with our candidates. He was answering questions. He was talking about who we are as a company. What does our PTO plan look like? What positions, all the positions that we have available. And so Morris really housed those conversations with these candidates so that the administrative burden wasn't on our talent acquisition team.
Love it, Sarah.
Yeah.
We love to call Morris the 24/7 member experience architect or recruiter. Something that's so awesome about Morris, like Sarah mentioned, he's able to interact with candidates 24/7. We actually saw around 45% of communications from the Fontainebleau candidates taking place after business hours, so outside that normal 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is pretty awesome that Morris was always there to answer their questions. So we all know that the candidate experience is super critical in the recruitment process. Clearly, you all have a great seamless candidate experience. It's especially important when you have a luxury brand and when your customers are also your candidates. So you have all of that layered on. Can you talk a little bit about how you were able to gather candidate feedback throughout the process to make sure that your candidates really were satisfied with the recruitment process?
Yeah, absolutely. Morris handled a lot of the steps of the process. So as you can imagine, with 300,000 candidates, there were a good percentage of candidates that probably didn't even qualify for the roles. So the first thing that Morris did was with the help of the team, we created pre-screening questions unique to every single position on this property. So if you're a blackjack dealer, you're answering pre-screening questions specific to dealing blackjack. If you are a cocktail server or from our fan club, our banquet servers, we definitely want to know that you have the experience, that you've worked in a luxury property. And if you haven't, then Morris is politely going to say, hey, there's other positions that you might be suited for. Have you tried this or have you looked on the website for X, Y, or Z? And so we knew that sometimes those conversations could be difficult. And we really wanted to make sure that the candidates felt like they were being heard and that their applications were being considered. And so what we made the decision to do was to add a survey at the end of every application. So as soon as somebody finishes a survey, Morris is going to ask, how was your experience going through the application process? Did you enjoy this? And Morris is actually going to allow the candidate to type and give us pros and cons in their own words as well. And so what we do is we use that data to make decisions forward thinking on how we can better the process. As you can imagine, we built Paradox and the candidate journey for pre-opening, for volume hiring, for what we expected to be 80,000 applications that ended up being 300,000. We built him to help us get through all of that. And so we wanted to make, as now we go into 2025, we want to make sure that we are updating the candidate journey to be more relevant to operational needs as we continue on. So one thing is great about him is that you program him one way and tomorrow you can program him another.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it, Sarah. I think something else you mentioned earlier too was that you had a 93% candidate satisfaction rate, which is incredible, and a 52% response rate. And typically we see around 10% response rate when it comes to email, but with Morris, you're able to deliver it via SMS and email and whatever the preferred candidate communication preference was.
Absolutely. And you mentioned 50%. So of those 300,000 applicants, 50% of them took the survey. And out of that, 93% of them were satisfied. That's a huge win for us. We're going to get that 7%. we're going to get it. So don't worry about that. But it was great. And you know what? Some people might say, some people didn't take the survey because maybe it wasn't in their native language. But the truth of the matter is Morris speaks many languages. So all you have to do is start to talk to him in your native language and he'll respond in that same language.
Elegant is both, Morris is both elegant and multilingual. So amazing, Sarah.
Absolutely.
Amazing. What more can we ask for?
Yeah.
Ask the question now, wait until the end.
Go ahead, ask a question
No,
now.
I don't want to interrupt.
Okay, are you sure?
No, whatever.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So
We'll
going
open
back
it.
to the beginning, Sarah, you had to hire 6,500 candidates
Yes.
in the span of just 3 months. So can you tell everyone a little bit about what the hiring events looked like and really the workflow of a
Yes.
typical hiring event?
Yes, and I'm so glad that you mentioned hiring event, because here at the Fontainebleau, we do not have job fairs. We have talent recruitment hiring events. So thank you for mentioning that. We put a lot of work and thought into what our hiring events would look like. As you can imagine, there are great job boards out there where you can post an event and it's kind of come as you are, come when and how you please. What Paradox allowed us to do was to organize these hiring events in a way that we could schedule hundreds of applicants over a period of time. So rather than us focused on the logistics of the event, we could actually focus on the candidates coming in and making sure that we were doing appropriate interviews and making sure that the candidate experience was great. We weren't too focused on, you know, where we're going to put the booth and where we're going to have this and where we're going to have that. We got to really focus on the candidate.
I love it. Something I think probably most people don't know is that you were conducting hiring events, conducting interviews long before this property was even finished. So you had an offsite talent center. I still remember the day last year when your team called us because you had a last minute change that you weren't able to access your offsite talent center for the whole month of November
Yeah.
because of Formula One with very little notice.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about how you and the team really had to manage that unexpected change?
Yeah, absolutely. So our talent center prior to opening was very close to the Formula One location. And unfortunately, we didn't have parking spots. And as you can imagine, for a talent center, you need parking spots for candidates to be able to come and interview. So we knew that it wasn't going to work. Formula One obviously took priority. And so a week prior to November 1st, we made the decision to relocate our talent center to the World Market Center, quite a ways down the road. But we were really concerned about communication. How do we communicate with our candidates who are expecting to show up at Howard Hughes at our talent center who in 2 days, but now they need to show up at the World Market Center? How are we going to communicate that out? And we leveraged Morris to be able to send mass communications and reminders of the change so that we had a seamless transition. So we moved in a week, and the day that we opened the talent center at World Market Center, everybody showed up. They knew right where to go.
Awesome.
So it was great.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, Sara, just to close us out here, I mean, the Fontainebleau Las Vegas has achieved so much in such a short amount of time, and you and the team really do have a lot to be proud of. Do you want to talk about how you're going to continue to innovate and evolve your hiring strategy as you look forward to 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, how we really want to make sure that we're updating our candidate experience to be post-opening now. We don't intend to do volume hiring anymore. We want to really focus on unique hiring experiences as we go into 2025. So that's going to be a big plan of ours is redoing our candidate journeys to be more relevant to today. And then also, what I'm really excited about is contextual AI. So Paradox is working to build Morris to have more open conversations and be more of a dialogue. So what that means is we pre-programmed Morris with the ability to answer up to 400 questions. And over time, Morris with contextual AI will be able to learn how we ask the questions, how candidates ask questions, and how we answer them. And he'll be able to kind of expand his dialogue to have more of a conversation with each candidate going forward. And I think that is really, really cool. So we already have a good population of people that think Morris is real. I think with contextual AI, he may become real.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Love it. Awesome. Well, thank
Yeah.
you, Sara, so much for the time today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We will be at booth 26. So if you want to know what Morris's favorite drink or sports team is, please come see us there. We'd be happy to share. I do think we have a little bit of time, though, if we want to go into your
Yeah.
question.
I have two questions. Well,
Yeah.
1.5.
Okay.
By the way, I want to put some context. HR to me is a fundamental process in the success of any property. I feel important now.
Yeah.
So HR to me is a fundamental process, and you're really truly the base for a successful operation. Having said that, in my mind at least, one of the pillars in hiring is to look for talent, for the attitude versus the aptitude. Right? You can always teach the particular discipline. Are you concerned at all? And I understand this is a massive operation, so at some point you have to yield to efficiency. But are you concerned at all that you may be missing candidates that may not necessarily have the experience that Morris is looking for, but have the passion and the drive and have the right attitude, but are perhaps neglected in the process?
No, and I'll tell you why. We, as I mentioned at the beginning, and I didn't really go too much into it, but culture has been very, very important to us. It's probably the number one most important aspect that we preach and live by in human resources. And just like you mentioned, the skill set of talent in this city is I mean, I'm sorry, the talent pool of those with high skill sets is large. But it really is the culture fit that we're looking for. So what we did was we decided to have a culture audition. We audition every hourly employee that walks through this door to make sure that they are a culture fit. We ask a series of questions. We show a video that kind of embodies what our 4 culture values are. It embodies how we treat each other, how we respect each other, and we ask questions to see how they align with that. It's a 30-minute audition in groups of 10, and it allows us the opportunity to weed out those that don't embody that culture, and to make sure that those that do, regardless of technical skill, because that's not our issue until it gets to the interview level, but regardless of technical skill, that they move on to the next level.
And that's real people that did that.
That's real people that do that.
Fantastic.
Morris helps us schedule and ensures that we are efficient and making sure that we have however many blocks of group interviews, 10 people at a time, each day.
Brilliant. Thank you. Very quickly, post hiring, how do you manage an operation? When I say manage, how do you keep in touch with the pulse of the team members? How are you involved in their daily lives when you have 6,000 team members?
Yeah.
To ensure that the feedback is there, even the
Yeah.
food in the staff restaurant. How,
Yeah.
how do you manage that? Because Morris can't do it.
Morris can't do it.
Thank you.
We have a dedicated team called the Engagement and Internal Communications team. We have determined that the cost to retain an employee is much, much cheaper than the cost to hire an employee. And so engagement is extremely important to us. And we do that through a number of ways. And I'm not the subject matter expert, but I can give you a few good things that we do. We have a really great intranet. And the intranet is something that we highly recommend our team uses on a daily basis. We put memos and reminders and pretty much anything that you need to know about the happenings of the property. I mean, I could probably go into a whole hour-long conversation about all the ways in which we engage, but I think we do a really good job of activations. And what I mean by activations is at least once a week, once every other week, we have some sort of engagement activation that we are doing, hosted by the people department, sometimes other departments, where right as you walk in the door from the member entrance, the activation sits right there. So we're keeping a good pulse on what's being said. We have ways in which people can report feedback to us, and we're very data driven. So we take that information, we review it, we analyze it, and we make decisions for the future based on that information.
Thank you very much. You have a
Yep.
great property, great spirit, as we saw earlier, and very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you.